Muito obrigado, Professor João Mourão.
Thank you, Professor. I know that our speakers have a very limited time. I know you really need to leave. I don't know if Professor Paulo Rangel has time for a question, if there is. No? Okay. All right. So we have time, at least with Professor Paulo Rangel, for one question. If there is one question in the room. Anybody? Yes, I think we have one at the bottom there. Good afternoon. I would just like to ask, within Article 7, what can be considered preventive measures? By specifying a little bit, would we be able to apply Article 7? Preventive measures. What can be considered preventive measures? Yes, is that the question? Yes. I don't know. Any more? If not, okay. So taking advantage of Paulo Rangel, and I know that you have to leave. Okay, thanks. All right, well, strictly speaking, the epigraph of preventive measures to which we apply the title or the name is not so much that we take measures the opening up of a procedure that needs only 4/5 and not unanimity aims essentially to identify or see or verify that there is a serious risk of a serious breach of the EU values. Basically, it's that. It is preventive. Why? Because on the one hand, there is an audition of the state, the government in question, so there is a contact, there's a relationship between the Council and the government in question on the alleged or supposed violations of the essential values of the EU. It's not only the rule of law, it's the Article 2, basically, of the treaty. So basically, it is preventive in that sense. Because what we expect is resulting from that dialogue and perhaps the final decision of checking that there is a serious risk of a breach of those essential values, and in this case, for example, judicial independence or rule of law. In those cases, we hope that this has an effect. So basically, it is that. In other words, there's no sanction taken per se. What we have is proceedings that prepares the following procedure, and it is preventive in that sense. We hope that from that dialogue that we have there, and maybe from that approval, there is a reaction by the state aimed to by this and take a step back and go back to the normal situation. That is the effect of Article 7, number 1. So preventive measures could mislead you slightly because there are, in fact, in other cases, interim measures that are taken and very often are aimed at ensuring and reinforcing so that later we can have effective sanctions. This is a compulsory mechanism, in other words, to force the state while they are suffering the preventive measures to adopt behavior that will avoid other sanctions. But in that case, that's not what is in question. So let me end off here and apologize because I really have to leave. Otherwise, I'm running the risk of missing my plane. If there are any more questions, and by abusing of the patience of the other two patients, notwithstanding, we have to say goodbye to Paulo Rangel and thank you for your presence. So, open to the floor. If there are any more questions, please. Well, I think that lunch is more pressing at the moment. So thank you very much to the two speakers that are still here. Thank you. not only for your interventions, but also being available to be present here with your contribution. And for the participants and the speakers and representatives of the medal, we have lunch in the building opposite this one. You can see on your badges you have a description of lunch. So we'll be back with our works at Hoppers to thank you. Have a good lunch, everybody.